Hmm.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Reckon Interview Live. I'm your host, John Hammondtree, and welcome back to the Reckon Interview to Roy Wood Jr., our very
Hey,
first
how
guest.
you doing? Did I
Doing
yell?
okay, all things
Was that too
considered.
loud? I feel like I was a little aggressive just then.
Now you're bringing the energy we all need at 2 o'clock on
Okay.
a
Well,
on a Tuesday afternoon, whatever day. And everybody in your profession, you're all doing your jobs from home. You're not doing it in clubs. You're not doing it in studios. You're not on sets for sitcoms. Everything, it's you and this camera you're talking to me on right now. You wrote a piece when this all started to lock down saying that the pandemic was going to change the comedy business forever. You still think that's true?
yeah. Is forever the right word, or maybe like I don't know, 4 or 5 years?
That feels like
My
forever.
comedy is inherently, if you look at most forms of entertainment in general, if you're talking concerts or sporting events or class economy on an airplane style level comfort. So comedy works best in a low ceiling. Everybody's packed on top of each other, which is also where a lot of contagious diseases, viruses work really. They perform really well in comedy club type environments as well. So
They're not the cleanest places in the world.
yeah, I wrote that piece for Vulture in the spirit of trying to communicate a point to the younger comedians and the newer comedians in the game who may not quite see how the chess pieces move and the ripple effects of what was happening because everybody essentially has to come down a rung. If you play 10,000 seats, you got to play five. If you played five, you got to play 1,000. If you played 1,000, you're back in the clubs. Like in Alabama, you may come back to the Comedy Club Stardome. That seats 300, but even the Stardome, like most other spots, is going to have to start with socially distant you can so that you can charge a little bit more so that your business model doesn't fall apart until the market corrects itself, which could be 6 months, which could be a year. A lot of that depends on unemployment because all of these things are disposable expenditure activities, disposable income
Right.
activities. So you don't need to go to the movies. And I think we're going to see something similar with the movie theaters, where they're only going to have to carry blockbusters for a long time because the indie films and the smaller films that you might roll the dice on, you don't know if you can put enough seats, if you can put enough butts in seats, why would you even try if you're a theater owner? So the more popular you are, the safer you are. And that piece that I wrote for Vulture was for the comedians that aren't as popular.
Well,
And
and
that's my going to take. If you used to make 20 million, you might only make five. If you used to make 20,000, you might only make 5,000. It's all plausible. I hope I'm wrong.
and everybody's moved online. I've seen you. You've been all over the internet for the last couple of months doing shows like this. A lot of them have been fundraisers. Late night comedians and hosts are doing their shows from their home, and then you've got other people who are kind of moving their way into the game, like John Krasinski's competing in the late night space now. So in some ways,
Yeah,
it's kind of
Krasinski's like,
blended.
yeah.
So does that make it more competitive? I mean, is it harder for these young up and coming comedians that you're talking about to be heard out there?
I don't think it's harder. I just think you have to figure out where the new avenues are. There's always, crafty. I do believe that talent will still reign supreme. I hate to say something this morbid, but this ain't the first pandemic
Right.
that we've dealt with as a species, if you will, or as a culture. In the last, everybody goes, "Oh, 1918, there's a pandemic." Yeah, and after that, guess what? There was still entertainment. There were still entertainers. There were eventually things came back to some sense of normalcy. But if you were betting on the old equation getting you through, my advice would be to not look at that as a way through for yourself and try to figure out something new and innovative that hasn't been done. You have literally nothing to lose because nobody's doing anything right now. So it
How's the
can't hurt your career.
how's the vibe changed with the Daily Show? I mean, how are you doing your daily meetings, your planning, all that stuff?
It's Zoom, man. It's Zoom. Everything on the day, and ideas. And I'd say the only thing that we miss at the Daily Show by being remote instead of being in the building together, our morning meetings, generally, most of all of the departments come together for the morning meeting. And the cool thing about the show is that most anyone in the building, if you have an idea that you think is worth being heard, there is a system to get it through. And that system still exists, but it's more fun to talk about it aloud in the morning news. And then they go, what if we had a candy sliced apple pie? And the joke is this big, beautiful thing that would have never, and that doesn't always happen over email.
Yeah,
So
it's harder for that
that
to
type
grow.
of the quick part of it, but the show is still functioning. I think the assembly line of jokes is still pretty much there. I'd say the field department, it's difficult. Black owned barbershops are getting hit very hard
Yeah.
because of the shutdown, and the energy of being in the room and really feeling the conversation. For the people who don't know, we may talk with a person for a daily show segment. We may talk for 30 or 40 minutes, and in there's an energy and there's something that's better. But when you're doing it over FaceTime, it's fine and it works. And I get off this call, oh my God, I want to hang up. Oh my God, please hurry up and say whatever the hell you got to say. I got to get the hell off this call. And so I
Are
think
you trying to tell me
that's the
something?
hard part.
I know you have a number of shows that are in the works. A new trailer debuted today for Space Force, teaming you up with another Daily Show
Yes.
alum, Steve Carell. What's that show been
Yeah.
like? I guess you're not shooting it now, obviously. Is everything
No,
wrapped on
that's the name Greg Daniels and Steve Carell and just everything they did with The Office. It was like, it's just, of course, yes, I'll audition. The bigger issue was going to Comedy Central because when you're already part of one network, like if you play soccer, it's like being on loan. It's like going, hey, listen, like you play for the club, you play for the Cubs, and you go, hey, is it all right if I go over there and play with the Red Sox for a week and just shoot a TV show? I'm still with the Cubs. Let me go with the Red Sox ticket. So rates, do his thing, and that was cool. I think in a couple of weeks I'll be on the last OG
Oh,
with
cool.
Tracy Morgan and Tiffany Haddish. It's been a blessing. That and then to do Better Call Saul,
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago. I've just been trying my best to just diversify the old comedic portfolio as the best I
Well,
can.
and you shot it. So
Yes.
what's the latest on that?
So we shot the show, and then we get into a conversation with the network about, all right, well, let's rework a couple things. So the show is still in development, and now I have to wait to figure out what's going on with the Comedy Central infrastructure because Viacom merged with CBS earlier this year. So you can't, if I can put it in football terms, I got to find out who my new offensive coordinator is so he can let me know exactly how to play. And we don't know who the new coaches are yet. So let me know who the new coaches are. I'll sit down with the coach. We'll figure out ways to get things retooled and get that back, get that back down the pipeline because that was to be able to shoot a cable sitcom pilot in Birmingham. It's something I'm extremely proud of. We had 90 people on crew. Almost 70 were Alabama residents.
And you were assembling that from scratch. I mean, that wasn't an infrastructure that existed, right?
No, we shot movies, and there's a lot of reality stuff that shoots. Get Out was shot in Mobile. The issue in Alabama is connecting all of these people and finding them, like because there's no centralized. It's harder to track the people who can do the things at the level that you need them done. And there's a lot of people from Alabama who aren't in Alabama. So they go to New Orleans or Atlanta where the work is. So you kind of have to, I can basically compare it to like Samuel L. Jackson having to assemble the Avengers. You have to find a camera dude, and then you need to find someone who knows to talking to Kathy down there with the Alabama Film Commission. So it's just literally piece by piece. Okay, I got all of this. All right. Now I need to get to the mayor because I need clearance to shoot this thing on this street. And then so it was a labor of love that wouldn't have happened without the hustle of, people in Alabama, having my back on that. And ultimately the goal in the long run is to, have some degree of film and television production in the state, but not just, at the state level about creating programs that can start the film and television training process so that crew can make money. There's more opportunities in front of the camera than there are behind the camera in the state. And I think that's something that has to be flipped in order for it to work at the state level, because this isn't just about shooting cool stuff and just, I shot it in Birmingham. Like, no, this is something that we want to create and leave for people that are here after I'm dead and gone. but building that infrastructure from scratch takes time.
Right now, you are physically in New York, hunkered down there because of coronavirus. What are you seeing in New York that we should be aware of in Alabama? Because we're kind of living two different realities of the
Yeah,
virus right now.
but I try to be fair about this. So my aunt passed. My aunt in Mississippi passed 2 weeks ago, and
Oh, I'm
so
really sorry.
and these things happen. And it was non-COVID related. Conversation was okay. Who's going? Should we go? How do we do this? How do you do a funeral from afar? And so, as much as I love my family, unfortunately, my first and foremost responsibility is to this 3-year-old that's in this house, with me and my partner. So I can't go down there and put him in jeopardy. And so I'm feeling this sense of responsibility to stay put, and it pained even my mother who's there in Birmingham to not be able to go over to Mississippi. But then I called 2 of my friends in Mississippi to get a lay of the land in Mississippi, and they were at a barbecue. So
I mean, it's barbecue weather.
To who we are around, and that dictates a lot of our perception and how much value we put on the words of experts on whether or not we should stay in the house. I live in New York, where a lot of people caught it first. Everybody was panicking, but this is also a city where everybody's on top of each other. It's impossible to walk down the sidewalk without bumping into people. An average new home, it's a lot easier ways to go and pull up and get groceries. I understand that a lot of spots down there now are doing curbside pickup for your groceries and all of that stuff. So there are ways to still somewhat be functional, but it's hard for me to sit and lecture people who live in other places that may have different circumstances. And the thing that I hate is that we act like everyone who's going out is going out. They show you the people on the beach, and they show you the people that's going and buying Jordans and all of this stuff. But there's also people that legitimately cannot afford necessity. And I think that's something that, people aren't necessarily touching on or, always discussing. But, for us up here, my plan is to stay put and, to hunker down as best we can. If I can figure out some weird roundabout way to get to see my mama without everybody catching COVID,
Yeah,
might do that. Might
sure.
see if Milo's send me a bottle of that sauce, and somebody need to talk to Barbers about releasing some of that eggnog in the summer. We need a summer round. Listen, Barbers, anybody from Barbers, in these trying times, we need eggnog. God bless.
We'll cut that up and make it a promo. What are you doing? I mean, you said you've got a 3-year-old at home. What are you doing in order to stay sane?
Well, we have a balcony, so we can go outside and throw a little tennis ball or something like that. Not far. It's not a huge balcony, but it's enough to give them a little things. And we talk about we're doing finance, we're doing all the education, we're doing e-learning from his preschool curriculum that they sent. But it's also about just taking advantage of this time to bond with your son a little bit. Me and my girl have probably done every movie that you could name, every TV series. Like, we watching some show that's from Sweden now. I couldn't even tell you what it's about. Like, we've left American television. We've crossed the ocean.
They're doing
watching
big things in Sweden.
Birmingham post-quarantine meal. All right. Give me all of my veggies from Yo Mama's downtown. Okay. Your mamas, please hold on. Apply for the small business loan. I'm gonna go real big on you. Give me a burger from Milo's, and then I'm going by Nikki's West to just get whatever the hell they got that day. Because at Nikki's West, that's how you eat. You just eat whatever the hell they give you.
And order quick. Yeah.
Yes, you better order real fast at Nikki's. That's the only spot that don't need curbside because they inside is so fast. Quarantine meal. I'm crisscrossing all over town getting food.
Well, since we're talking about food, for those of you watching, it looks like so far we've already raised about $100 for Alabama food banks. We were talking about how people are struggling down here. A lot of people are having to get out and and still work, but a lot of people are out of work, and anything that you can do to help, we certainly appreciate y'all making those donations. You can do it somewhere here, there. What else is on your mind these days? What are you working on? Are you able to kind of work on some new stand-up routines? Or are you going to do a live from your house
You know
special one
what?
of these
I
days?
can't. I can't. And I see the other comedians that do it, but it's just my style of comedy just doesn't work. Like, oh, I don't have my mic. I had it. I had it earlier. I get my girls costume. Man, what's going on? You know how crazy it is when it's crazy? Man, it's crazy. It's crazy. How you doing over there, sir? Like, it just doesn't feel natural. Like this, I can do all day. I can have a conversation and talk all day, but
Sure.
I am not interested in doing a structured, proper comedy. Can't share yet because people
Okay.
be stealing.
All the time. Yeah.
I gotta wait till again. I gotta wait till I get a new offensive coordinator. Once I get my new offensive coordinator, then I'll know what plays I can run. I have had fun though making videos with my son.
Yeah.
That's been the weirdest thing about this is that he's about to be 4, and I've just been teaching him just random video production stuff, just showing him lights and just showing him camera. Like he could take this camera that I'm talking to you on right now and pop it, flip it open, and just take pictures. It would be pictures of koalas and cane and stuffed animals, but it would be pictures. They would be out of focus, but they would be pictures.
Well,
But
that reminds me. I think we need
yo, I
a
wanted
podcast
to
takeover.
do I wanted to do another season of the coalition on my YouTube channel and base it on the fact that a disease was killing all of the chicken sandwiches and they didn't know how to stop it. But I deemed it insensitive because I wasn't sure because it felt too real because
That's true.
people are
Yeah.
really dying because of COVID. I didn't know if I really wanted it's the last thing you want to do is get canceled during the damn pandemic because you
That's
can't even go.
to whatever you do next. And thank you again for your time. And thank you to all of you out there for contributing. Oh, no, we have one more question.
Okay.
Actually, this is not a question so much as a comment, but you might be interested in it. Legit thought this said Roy Moore, and I was horrified. He had decided to be a comedian. Can't tell you how relieved I am. Somebody tuned in to see if we were talking to Roy Moore about his comedy.
I sometimes get confused with him, even though there are a lot of visual differences. Before we even get into political differences, there are a lot of visual differences. Oh man, but yeah, thank you so much, and God bless Alabama Food Banks for what they're doing. I'm gonna jump on right now myself and give and donate $100, and I hope that everybody else can do what they can. Even if you can't, pass this link on to someone who can.
Well,
Please.
yes, please do. And if you are interested, we've got and
Barbers, summer eggnog. Summer eggnog. God bless you. Thank you.